Hey, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking about what's the difference between advice and guidance. Now, the reason for this conversation is explaining the difference between, for example, me on my podcast show. Although I'm an independent financial advisor, I'm giving guidance. I'm not giving advice. It's only when you go through a regulated process with a regulated financial advisor that then you are giving advice. So I thought it was worthwhile mentioning the difference between the two. Hi, and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I'm an independent financial advisor and wealth coach. I'm the director of Evolution Financial Planning, who is also our sponsor for today's show. Did you know I wrote a book? It's called Accelerating Your Wealth. Funny enough, the same as the show, Accelerating Your Wealth podcast show. But this is 10 ways to accelerate your wealth. It was designed to really help people with their finances in a simple way. So we focus on some key sections around your money mindset, some practical things that can be done with your finances and allowing you to maximise your money and your future. So if you're thinking, hey, this stuff is interesting, then the best next step for you is to check out the book. It's an Amazon 5-star bestseller. Yeah, I know, it's great, right? Go and check it out. You can buy it on Amazon and have it with you tomorrow for a nice cup of tea. The reason why this is a bit of a bugbear for me is because I see a lot of online people doing online influencers. Now, they probably don't realise that actually they're giving advice a lot of the time, and they shouldn't be. And this is something that the FCA are picking up people on quite a bit more. And I don't think people quite know the difference. For example, I don't know if people really understand the difference between planning, what a planner is, and a financial advisor is. So I'll come on to that as well. So I just wanted to share with you, in terms of the summary on the FCA guidelines. I'm reading this from the FCA website. It's a booklet you can download. It's a 35-page document, and this is one of their summary documents. So guidance is impartial service which will help you identify your options and narrow down choices, but it will not tell you what to do or which product to buy. The decision is yours. So you'll hear this a lot more in banks going forward. Recently, the Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, has basically sort of started to change how institutions start dealing with regulated advice. Used to be able to go into your bank and you could get regulated advice, and then it all got removed. So there's some changes coming that way, which is why this subject is quite important. Providers of guidance are responsible for accuracy and quality of the information they provide, but not for any decision you make based on it. Guidance is free unless your provider clearly tells you otherwise. It will suggest what you could do. So that's the terminology for guidance. Advice will recommend a specific product or course of action for you to take given your circumstances and financial goals. This will be personal to you based on the information you provide. So on a podcast show or an influencer online, they or I cannot give you actual regulated advice because we don't know anything about you. And this is the same as like your friend down the pub or your mate, you go, your hairdresser. They shouldn't be giving you advice. What would you advise is a very well-used term, but actually it's a regulatory term. Advice will be provided by a qualified and regulated individual or online by a regulated organisation. So when it says online, it doesn't mean online as in social media online. It means that you're providing the advice online using Teams or Zooms. And you can have somebody who is a qualified advisor, but they're no longer actually licensed. So maybe they, a few years ago, were actually practicing, if you like. So it's like having a doctor that's a qualified doctor, but they've actually not been practicing for some time, and they could be out of date, and they're also not then licensed, meaning that they're not insured. And also that could mean that they're, for example, they could be a qualified financial planner. So a financial planner is somebody that does forecasting and projections, but they're not actually qualified to give advice. So it means that they can't say to you, move this pension from here to here, but they can say to you, oh, this pension is going to achieve you this much. One is planning for the future, one is giving you product advice. And so again, they're two separate things. So this, in terms of the advice, provides Providers of advice are responsible and liable for the accuracy, quality, and suitability of the recommendation that they will make, and you're protected by law. So if somebody is giving you advice, but they're not actually qualified or regulated, you are not covered in any shape or form. So though you might have deemed it as advice, if they're not regulated, so they are online or an influencer or somebody that is a financial coach or a money coach of any description, if they're not regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, it's very much likely the case that you would not be covered by insurance or by the law. Which is scary, right? Which is why this is a big subject, and I don't think people are aware. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got to let you know. Are you enjoying the shows? If you are and there's more you want to listen to, then check out our quiz. You'll find the link below. You can fill out these questions and it will basically tell you what area of your finances you should focus on. So it might be business, it might be you're getting divorced, it might be investing. There's about 9 categories. And what it will give you is a playlist to the relevant categories of all the shows we've done that apply to that area and that subject. So what it allows you to do is super fast learn about the subject that you need to know super quick without having to scroll through about over 130 episodes currently. So I hope you find that helpful, and do let us know of your feedback leave us a review via your preferred platform. Thanks. You will usually pay a fee for advice, as you will. My regulated firm, Evolution Financial Planning, we're regulated financial advisors. You do pay a fee. Fees will be disclosed before you ask to commit yourself, and it will be recommended what you should do. So it'll be very specific. So that's what we do. We provide you a report, and it's very specific on what you should do, not just with those products, but also, and it might be planning decisions and where to put money or overpay on your mortgage, etc. So it's very specific to your circumstances, and you can only do that in a bespoke way, one-to-one, understanding that client and really what their needs are. Whereas if somebody's online and they're saying, oh, you should do this and you should do that. Like one of the questions I had in our Ask Becky Anything was around, I've been told I should do this. And that's really dangerous. There's people, particularly, they've had it from this question. I know this, that are basically holding off making decisions or avoided making decisions or have made decisions not to do something simply because they've been told, that this is what you should do from some sort of influencer or some person that has done it a certain way. And the thing is that when you've got somebody like myself, a financial advisor, I've got about 100 odd clients, but I probably do one-off work for another 30 to 40 clients in a year. So I'm speaking to somewhere around like 150 clients. I've run my own business for nearly 16 years, and I've worked in financial services for nearly 26 years. I've spoken to thousands of people. That gives me a very good perspective and viewpoint with finances, more than, say, for example, one person that's done one thing, or maybe just they've done the same thing that their dad or their mum did. That's a very different perspective of life and how people should go about making decisions. For example, I spoke to a client yesterday and I literally said to them, 99% of the time, I'm telling people to do the opposite of what I'm telling you to do. And this is her circumstances were bespoke and special to her. So it's really important that you take the information that you get online as guidance. It's just information. You are responsible for the actions that you take. And that's my I'm not trying to be scary here. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but I do want to deliver this in an educational way so that people understand the decisions that they're making with their finances or not making with their finances. So it's really great and important to gather this information to understand so that if you do decide to speak to a financial advisor and pay for a financial advisor, you know what questions to ask, what should they be covering for you, who is taking responsibility for what, because you're not completely absconding all responsibilities. There's still a degree of decision making even when you're working with a financial advisor. However, you're doing it in such a way that you know what part your responsibility you're passing over. Whereas if you're deciding to do it all on your own and you are wanting to work out how to invest money, that you're getting the information from the right places. Because if somebody's telling you to invest in a certain way via a certain platform, Is that because they've just what they've done? It's a bit of a cookie cutter approach that might not be right for you. And it's important that you have enough diverse information, enough broad understanding of these subjects before you start, for example, moving pensions or investing money, or, not doing those things and deciding not to invest before, making sure you've got a broad understanding. The problem with that is that takes a lot of time. So, you don't want to pay a financial advisor, or you don't think it's worth speaking to a financial advisor, or you don't trust anybody, you don't know anybody. But then the idea of then trying to learn all of this and make these decisions on your own is overwhelming. Or, should you do passive funds? Should you do actively managed? Which platform to use? How much do I put in my pension? How much do I put in my ISA? How much do I need? All those questions that come about. If you are going to do that completely on your own, it's really important that you have a broad understanding. So if you don't have the time to do that, then that's when people don't make any decisions. So I'd encourage you to pick a road and, go down one of them. And it might be a mixture. So sometimes we have clients who, like I've interviewed Melanie Coshot, who does do some of her own investing with some of her money, and she's experienced enough to do that. But then I manage her pensions, for example. I have clients who come to us who we just do the forecasting, we just do the financial planning, and then they do the actual management of the ongoing investments themselves. So there are advisors and firms that can help you in terms of just understanding, where you are, what the landscape looks like, and what that future vision that you're aiming for, what steps need to happen between now and there to get there. I hope that's of help, and you've learned something new. And whatever you do, just take one baby step action forwards to enable your finances and maximise your financial future. Take care. Thank you for joining us today at Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do subscribe and let us know in the comments any of your thoughts.